Hi, my friend, it's Pat Sloan here, and it's Tuesday. If you look at our calendar, it is actually button day. I love buttons. I have always loved buttons. I've collected them off and on, so I have pretty nice group of buttons that I have a lot of sort of, I don't know, junky buttons too. That's all, but they're useful. Sometimes you want to put those, just a whole bunch of red buttons on something. Of course, red, everything red. But buttons are a great way to add a little something to your quilt. For quite a few years, there was a button club at the Fat Quarter Shop, and I did a free pattern that went along with that. They don't do that club anymore, but I want to show you one of the quilts, which the quilt then became the sparkler in my celebrations, holiday celebrations book. But this is one where I did the one block, and then I just added buttons on the bottom. Aren't those darling? So that's the kind of thing you can do. If you're doing a quilt that's a wall hanging, you can add buttons to make it interesting and fun. Also, I would love to see today if you have a collection of buttons, if you have buttons on a project, pillows, pincushions, table runners, quilts. For a while we had this old buttons, a bunch of old buttons from Greg's grandmother, so that was a lot of fun. His mom gave it to me. I guess she didn't want them anymore. So I have those. So they're really great. So buttons, buttons, buttons. Today's all about buttons. If you have them, show them off, show them off. So I have a few other things today. I'm going to sort of walk through some projects we're doing on, and then I have a little bit of news at the end. So stay till the end. It's not good news, but it's news I need to tell you. Okay, first thing is the table runner that I showed you from the holiday celebrations for Thanksgiving. Ta-da! I forgot to show you the other parts, the other things I have that go with it, which are little coasters. So in the book there, you can see it all sort of styled out on the table, and then super cute decorations on napkins. So you can do napkins that you purchased. You can just add bands of fabric on it, or napkins that you make. These are ones that I've made. My mother-in-law, Madge, there she is again today. She used to love using cloth napkins all the time for when she had meals. That was her go-to thing. If you have a square space, then you could go ahead and do this one from the book, which are just the 4 leaves. This would be super cute to add buttons with. So you could add buttons just on the leaves themselves, in the middle to decorate it, maybe in the 4 corners. Lots of little fun projects that you can just whip up. Of course, just whip them up before Thanksgiving. Now we have wreaths. This is 1 week from starting the wreaths, and a lot of you showed me wreaths that you have made in the past, and you are working with them now. You're making the big wreaths. My big wreaths are at the quilter, and I'm actually picking them up this week. Yes, so I did send 2, and I'm going to pick those both up. But let me show you. I had this, where is it? Oh, I showed you this, what, yesterday? Or no, the other day? Yeah, yesterday maybe. So I have the border on it. But I did 2 of these, and I was just going to leave the other one plain, and I decided, the more I look at this, the more I really like having that extra border on there with the green, but I don't have enough green that came with the fabric line. So let me show you what I'm thinking. So here it is, the wreath. This is the bottom. The bow is at the bottom on this wreath. You could put the bow at the top. It really doesn't matter. It's symmetrical. So if you wanted your bow at the top, you just would need to put any directional fabric. Like my directional fabric is reading the other way, but it can go at the top too. But I have a few pieces of the green, enough that I could make a patchwork around here, of them. But I don't think I have quite enough for the whole thing. So I got out my green from Morrison Park, which I really like. And I'm thinking that I might just do that. Just do this, keep it simple. Maybe, no, I don't think there's enough. I'd have to cut, if I cut these in half and did a little skinny binding, I'll bind it in red. So we'll just bind it in red. But I think I'm gonna go with that. I'm gonna put this on here, and then this one will be done, and I can get everything basted. So I have to get these 2 little sandwiches basted up. Wish me luck. Wish me luck on that. I think I can do it. They won't take long on the machine. It's really just once they're basted, you know, I get stuck at basting. Does that happen to you? Like, oh, I don't want to baste them. Even small ones, I'll just get stuck on them, and you know, they'll sit for a while before I actually, you know, just break down and do it, which takes all of like maybe 10 minutes for something that small. So I will do it. Okay, the other thing I need to get done is the banana layer cake quilt from the Perfect 10 book. Okay, I know this is upside down, but for those of you who didn't see it, this is the upside down version. It starts green at the top. But I did the top and the bottom sashing. And I want to do a side sashing. And I decided that I have enough fabric to do it on the length of the fabric. So I wanted to show you what that looks like. So I did the horizontals with this. So here's what I did. So I cut out, you know, from here down, so you can see. Now, in a perfect world, I would have done the long ones first, right? Because that would have made more sense. It would have made it easier for me. But instead, I did all the short ones first. So now, to do the long one, I will need to cut into this section, and then I'll have this leftover part down there, which is kind of annoying to me, but only on one side. I don't need to do it on both sides. So this is how I'm going to handle it. Let me see if I can do this easily. So I'm going to open it up at this point. So here's the part that, you know, if I had done it originally, I would have just cut the side borders all the way out and then started cutting the short ones, and it would have been less wasteful. But I only need to waste one side, so I'm going to have to cut off one side, and then I can cut the two long lengths all the way down. So I just need to trim off one side, not two of them, which will be, you know, I'll always use that. I'll probably cut it up to keep it for labels. That'll probably be what I do, because that's pretty good size for that. And then, speaking of that, here is the border, and I'm going to lay the quilt next to it. Okay, so what I will do is there'll be the white inside of there. Here, let me get the other side, the side here. There we go. So I had thought maybe I would do a wide border and show this fabric off. And then a couple of you suggested either just binding in it, which really would give me very, very little color. You know, it's only going to be like a little bit like that for binding. But I do this often where I will put maybe an inch around the outside, so then you bind it in the same fabric and it kind of looks like a super wide binding, or maybe an inch and a half like this. So I think that's what I'm going to do, because then I think this one will be able to fit here. I think it'll be able to fit on this wall, you know, which will be nice, because I would like to hang, I actually was going to hang a Christmas quilt here, but none of them really fit there that well. I do have some, but this one will be perfect. So I will get that one quilted up. I would then use the bulk of this for the backing, and it should be fine. It should have enough for the backing. I shouldn't have to, you know, mess around and change any, you know, like add to it. I'm hoping that that will work, because I'd already bought that. I'd gotten this a little while back before my wide backs had come in. Now I would just add my own wide back on there, but I'm going to go ahead and use this beautiful floral, and I'm pretty sure it can. Let's see. Duh, I'm standing right here. Okay. Whoops, I'm caught. Okay. Yeah, it's going to be a little wide. Okay. Well, that's interesting. So because it's going to be a little wide, I probably will do a pretty narrow border of this on the outside, just to give it that little extra pop of color all the way around the edge. And that will, I think that'll be good. Give it a nice finish on there. Speaking of this, I decided the little houses were just for yesterday. They aren't long enough to hang here all the time. This one, I wish it was one more, but this is the Hope Quilt that we did last March, when we did one block a day, which is a super easy block. It was super fun to do. I loved having that project because in March of last year, it was one year of the pandemic, and I just felt like I needed something to kind of mark that time of my life, you know, that 1 year mark. So this was a block a day, which I think we'll do that again one day in 2022, maybe in March, because March is that kind of transition month where you're really sick of winter, or if you're in the opposite side of the world, you might be really sick of summer and you want the cool weather. We're sick of cold, we want the warm weather. And I just feel like it gives an extra something special to do every day is one block. So if you like that idea, let me know in the comments. This one is still out there. It's just, you can go see it. But I put it up too because it's called Hope. And that'll sort of transition me here for the wrap up today. All right, my friends, I need to give you some sad news. You know, I've talked about the spa. Cindy and Dennis Dickinson, who have been quilting my quilts. They are very good friends of Greg and I. They help us monitor the Facebook group, my community there. Cindy has not been feeling well for quite a long time, and about 5-6 weeks ago she was diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer, and on Saturday she passed away. Cindy is leaving a massive hole in not only my life and in Greg's life and Dennis's life, but the life of many other people. She was just a really wonderful friend. And because I've talked about Cindy so much, from quilting my quilts, hundreds of quilts that she has done for me, she helping people in my community in Facebook. So many of you have chatted with Cindy. So keep Dennis in your thoughts and prayers. It's going to be a tough little while for him to work through not having his best friend anymore, just like I won't. But I wanted you to know. And while this is the third time I've taped this so I could get through it, Dennis even called me during this. So it's like it was meant to be to tell you today. Okay, we'll wrap it up with a little cheerfulness to, where'd they go? Get your wreaths done. If you're working on one, work on wrapping that up, and give your best friend a call today. Tell them how much you love them. I love you. Bye-bye. See you online.